When most people hear the word wealthy, they immediately think about flashy cars, luxury vacations, and a lifestyle filled with extravagance. But what many don't realize is that true wealth isn't about spending money. It's about building habits that allow money to grow, stay, and multiply. For a long time, I believed wealth was reserved for the lucky few, the ones born into money. But the geniuses who built billion-dollar companies, or those who somehow got the perfect timing in the stock market. But as I studied and observed the people who consistently built wealth, I realized it wasn't about luck at all. It was about their habits. Habits are powerful because they work quietly. They don't change your life in a single day, but over time, they completely transform it. Just like exercising for 20 minutes won't make you fit tomorrow, saving a small percentage of your income won't make you rich instantly. But when you stick to it long enough, the results compound, and that's where the magic happens. Wealthy people understand this better than anyone. What really opened my eyes was that these habits aren't complex or out of reach. They're often simple, practical actions that anyone can adopt. The difference is that most people overlook them because they don't see immediate results. Wealthy people, on the other hand, play the long game. They understand that consistency beats intensity. They'd rather stick to a plan for years than look for a shortcut that burns out in weeks. I also noticed something else. Wealthy people don't just think differently about money. They think differently about time, energy, and priorities. Where most people see money as something to spend, wealthy people see it as a tool. Where most waste hours scrolling through distractions, wealthy people treat their time as their most valuable currency. And where most chase quick wins, wealthy people focus on steady, predictable growth. That shift in mindset is what truly sets them apart. Now, here's the part that really changed my perspective. These habits don't just create financial wealth, they create freedom, investment, freedom to make choices, to design your lifestyle, and to live on your own terms. It's not about having millions sitting in a bank account. It's about having control over your life. And that control comes from discipline, consistency, investment, and the right mindset. So when I started adopting these habits myself, I began to notice changes, not overnight, but slowly and steadily. My finances became more organized, my decisions became clearer, and I stopped feeling like I was always chasing after money. Instead, I started building a system where money worked for me. And that's why today I want to share with you the 8 habits of wealthy people that completely changed my life. Investment. These aren't theories, and they're not complicated strategies. They're real, actionable habits that you can apply starting today. If you stick to them, I promise they can transform your financial future the same way they did for me. You said, GIV Matani speak and 500 words I own Tati 8 habits of wealthy people that changed my life. I just Ali of Garaya Ham Stevie I know I too came in on any ham. Before GVG must be GIV 4 key honors I do GIV and species ChatGPT said, here are 4 keynotes for the speech titled Our 8 Habits of Wealthy People That Changed My Life. In the style you want keynotes, wealth is a result of habits, investment, not luck. The daily choices and disciplined routines wealthy people follow are what separate them from the rest. Mindset drives financial behavior. Wealthy individuals think differently about money, time, and opportunities, which shapes their financial results. Consistency compounds over time. Small, repeated actions in saving, investing, and learning build massive wealth in the long run. Lifestyle design matters more than income. True wealth comes from how effectively you manage money in life, not just how much you earn. Investment. Would you like me to now expand these into a 500-word introduction speech, flowing like a Graham Stephan style talk before diving into the actual 8 habits? You said, GVMTHST each and 500 words I 5 PDNO outside the 8 habits of wealthy people that I need people if I can't I'm Steve I know if I Gary Hams te any these menting I am before you should be AT by VNs to give us by sheet ChatGPT said. Got it. Here are the 4 keynotes first, and then I'll craft the 500-word introduction speech for the title keynotes for the speech Habits Shape Destiny. Wealth isn't built overnight. It's the byproduct of consistent daily actions. Wealthy people think differently. Their unique approach to money, time, and opportunities sets them apart. Discipline beats motivation. Long-term wealth comes from sticking to habits even when it's inconvenient. Simplicity builds success. Most wealthy people focus on simple but powerful habits, repeated consistently. 500-word introduction speech title. And 8 habits of wealthy people that changed my life. When most people hear the word wealthy, they immediately think about flashy cars, luxury vacations, and a lifestyle filled with extravagance. But what many don't realize is that true wealth isn't about spending money. It's about building habits that allow money to grow, stay, and multiply. For a long time, I believed wealth was reserved for the lucky few, the ones born into money. Investment. The geniuses who built billion-dollar companies, or those who somehow got the perfect timing in the stock market. But as I studied and observed the people who consistently built wealth, I realized it wasn't about luck at all. It was about their habits. Habits are powerful because they work quietly. They don't change your life in a single day, but over time, they completely transform it. Just like exercising for 20 minutes won't make you fit tomorrow, saving a small percentage of your income won't make you rich instantly. But when you stick to it long enough, the results compound, and that's where the magic happens. Investment. Wealthy people understand this better than anyone. What really opened my eyes was that these habits aren't complex or out of reach. They're often simple, practical actions that anyone can adopt. The difference is that most people overlook them because they don't see immediate results. Wealthy people, on the other hand, play the long game. They understand that consistency beats intensity. They'd rather stick to a plan for years than look for a shortcut that burns out in weeks. I also noticed something else. Wealthy people don't just think differently about money. They think differently about time, energy, and priorities. Where most people see money as something to spend, wealthy people see it as a tool. Where most waste hours scrolling through distractions, wealthy people treat their time as their most valuable currency. And where most chase quick wins, investment. Wealthy people focus on steady, predictable growth. That shift in mindset is what truly sets them apart. Now, here's the part that really changed my perspective. These habits don't just create financial wealth, they create freedom. Freedom to make choices, to design your lifestyle, and to live on your own terms. It's not about having millions sitting in a bank account. It's about having control over your life. And that control comes from discipline, consistency, and the right mindset. So when I started adopting these habits myself, I began to notice changes, not overnight, but slowly and steadily. My finances became more organized. My decisions became clearer. And I stopped feeling like I was always chasing after money. Instead, I started building a system where money worked for me. And that's why today I want to share with you the 8 habits of wealthy people that completely changed my life. Investment. These aren't theories and they're not complicated strategies. They're real actionable habits that you can apply starting today. If you stick to them, I promise they can transform your financial future the same way they did for me. Would you like me to now expand each of the 8 habits into full 600-word sections? Like you usually ask for keynotes expansion, or keep them shorter and concise. You said expand Kawao and wanting 600 words without heading. ChatGPT said, all right, let's expand key point 1. Habits shape destiny. Wealth isn't built overnight. It's the byproduct of consistent daily actions. Into a 600-word speech style explanation without any heading. When we think about success and wealth, the first images that come to mind are usually the results: the big houses, the cars, the freedom to travel, or the ability to retire early. But what often gets overlooked is the process, the everyday actions and decisions that actually lead to those results. Wealth is never the product of one lucky break or a single moment of brilliance. It's the result of small, consistent actions repeated over time, actions so ordinary that they almost seem too simple to matter. But those small actions stacked together become the building blocks of financial destiny. The truth is, everyone has habits. The difference between those who build wealth and those who struggle is not whether they have habits, but which habits they follow. Wealthy people tend to live by a set of routines that gradually shape their future in positive ways. For example, they might have the habit of saving a fixed percentage of their income, no matter how much they earn. It doesn't seem like much in the moment, but over years, that discipline creates a safety net, then an investment fund, and eventually true financial independence. Think about it like planting a tree. If you plant a seed today and check it tomorrow, you won't see much change. But if you water it, protect it, and nurture it consistently years later, you'll have a strong tree that provides shade, fruit, and value. The same applies to financial habits. Wealth doesn't sprout overnight. It grows quietly under the surface until one day you wake up and realize how far you've come. The fascinating thing about habits is how they compound. Compounding isn't just about money. It applies to behavior too. When you make one good financial decision, it leads to another. When you choose to track your expenses this month, you're more likely to cut unnecessary spending next month. When you choose to invest early, you not only grow your money, but also grow your knowledge and confidence in managing it. Every small, repeated choice becomes momentum that pulls you closer to financial security. But here's the catch: habits can work both ways. Just as good habits compound wealth, bad habits compound debt and stress. Overspending a little here meant procrastinating on savings, avoiding financial planning. These don't ruin you in a single day. They ruin you slowly, month by month, until you wake up years later wondering why you're stuck. Wealthy people understand this and guard their habits carefully. They know that the seemingly small choices, whether to save or spend, whether to invest or ignore, whether to learn or stay comfortable, are what determine their future. It's easy to underestimate habits because they feel so ordinary. Skipping that morning coffee purchase won't make you rich, and saving $20 doesn't feel life-changing investment. But what wealthy people realize is that it's not about the $20, it's about the discipline behind it. It's about building the muscle of consistency, the ability to delay gratification, investment, and the habit of making decisions with the future in mind rather than just the present. And that's the essence of destiny. It's not created in a single moment, but in the repeated actions of every day. If you want to know where someone will end up in 10 years, you don't need to see their bank account today. You just need to see their habits. Are they living paycheck to paycheck because they overspend, or are they setting aside money, investing regularly, and seeking ways to grow their knowledge? The answer lies in their daily routines. This is why wealthy people often appear so disciplined. They aren't relying on motivation or luck. Investment. They've simply built habits that make success inevitable. They've designed their lives in such a way that even on days when they don't feel motivated, their routines still push them forward. And that is why habits are destiny. But they are the invisible system that either builds your wealth or destroys it. The good news is you don't need to be born rich to adopt these habits. You just need to start small, stay consistent, and let time do the rest. One of the most striking things I noticed when I began studying wealthy individuals is that they don't just earn or save money differently. They think about it in an entirely different way. Their mindset sets them apart long before their bank accounts do. For most people, money is something to spend the moment it's received. A paycheck comes in, bills are paid, and whatever is left over goes toward entertainment, eating out, or quick pleasures. But wealthy people see money as a tool, a worker that should be put to use. Instead of asking, what can I buy with this? They ask, how can I make this grow? That shift in mindset is the foundation of wealth. And when you change the way you think about money, you begin to treat it differently. Wealthy people view every dollar as an opportunity. To the average person, $100 might mean a nice dinner or a new pair of shoes. To a wealthy person, investment. It represents the seed of an investment, something that, if managed wisely, could turn into $200 or more in the future. This perspective doesn't come from greed. It comes from valuing the long-term benefits over the short-term comfort. It's not just about money, though. Wealthy people also think differently about time. Where many of us treat time as something to pass, they treat it as their most valuable currency. They know that time cannot be replaced, while money can be earned, lost, and earned again. That's why wealthy individuals are often obsessed with productivity, efficiency, and prioritization. They ask themselves whether the way they are spending their hours today will bring them closer to their goals tomorrow. This is why they often delegate tasks, automate systems, and avoid wasting time on things that don't bring value. They aren't necessarily working more hours than everyone else. They're simply working smarter with the hours they have. Another area where their thinking stands out is in how they see opportunities. Most people are conditioned to avoid risk. They think, what if I fail? What if I lose? Wealthy people flip that question around and ask, what if it works? What if this investment grows? What if this new venture succeeds? They don't take blind risks, but they also don't let fear paralyze them. Instead, they calculate, prepare, and then take action. Their willingness to embrace opportunities while others hesitate is often what sets them apart. This mindset also explains why wealthy people are lifelong learners. They don't assume they know it all. In fact, they're constantly curious about new markets, emerging technologies, or better financial strategies. While many people stop learning once formal education ends, wealthy people continue to invest in their knowledge. They buy books, take courses, surround themselves with mentors, and learn from mistakes. Their thinking is always evolving, which allows them to adapt and grow when circumstances change. The interesting part is that this mindset is available to anyone. You don't need millions of dollars to start thinking like a wealthy person. You can begin today by reframing how you see money, time, and opportunities. Instead of seeing money as something to spend, treat it as something to grow. Instead of wasting time on distractions, treat it as the precious resource it is. Instead of fearing failure, recognize that every opportunity you take is also a chance to learn. Ultimately, wealth begins in the mind long before it appears in the bank. People who think differently about money tend to make decisions that lead to financial growth, while those who think of money only in terms of spending tend to stay stuck in cycles of paycheck to paycheck living. Investment. The mindset of the wealthy is not about extravagance. It's about discipline, strategy, and long-term vision. And the good news is you can start developing that mindset right now, even if your income is modest. Because once you think differently, you start acting differently. And once you act differently, your results begin to change. That's the power of mindset. It doesn't just shape the way you see the world. Investment. It shapes the way you live in it. When it comes to building wealth, most people rely heavily on bursts of motivation. They get inspired by a video, a book, or someone's success story, and suddenly they feel ready to save money, start budgeting, or invest in the stock market. For a few days, they're unstoppable. But then life gets busy, challenges show up, or the excitement fades, and so do the new habits. The truth is, motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. What really determines whether someone builds wealth isn't how motivated they feel in the moment. It's whether they have the discipline to follow through when the motivation disappears. And discipline is what makes you keep saving even when spending feels more fun. It's what makes you stick to your budget even when friends are going out and you're tempted to join. It's what keeps you investing during times of market uncertainty when fear tells you to pull back. Discipline is about doing what's necessary, not what's convenient, and that's why it always outperforms motivation. Wealthy people understand this difference deeply. They don't rely on being in the right mood to make the right decisions. They've built systems and routines that keep them consistent regardless of how they feel. For example, many wealthy individuals automate their savings and investments. They don't wait until the end of the month to see what's left. They make sure money is moved to savings or investments before they even have a chance to spend it. This isn't about motivation. It's about creating a disciplined system that makes good choices automatic. Another way discipline shows up is in delayed gratification. Most people want instant results. They want to see their money grow fast, investment, or they want the latest gadgets and luxuries now. But wealthy people discipline themselves to wait. They understand that patience is a form of financial power. Instead of chasing quick wins or impulsive purchases, they commit to strategies that may take years to show results, but will eventually pay off massively. That level of patience requires discipline because it's not always easy to say now, today for a bigger yes, tomorrow. Discipline also plays a huge role in how wealthy people handle setbacks. Everyone faces challenges, unexpected expenses, failed investments, or periods of low income. The average person might use those challenges as excuses to stop saving or abandon their plan altogether. But disciplined individuals stay the course. They may adjust their strategy, but they don't quit. Their ability to push through difficulty is what allows them to keep moving forward while others fall behind. And here's something important. Discipline isn't about being perfect. Wealthy people make mistakes too. They sometimes overspend, miss opportunities, or take risks that don't work out. But their discipline ensures that they learn from those mistakes and return to their habits quickly. They don't let one bad decision spiral into a pattern. That's the difference. Discipline brings them back on track, while lack of discipline keeps others drifting further away from their goals. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it can be built just like a muscle. Investment. You don't need to be born with it. You start small with little commitments like setting aside a small amount of money each week or tracking your expenses for just a month. Over time, those small acts of discipline strengthen your ability to handle bigger challenges. Eventually, it becomes second nature. You don't even think twice about making disciplined choices because they're part of who you are. This is why discipline beats motivation every single time. Motivation may spark a beginning, but discipline sustains the journey. If you want long-term wealth, you can't depend on how inspired you feel. You need to create systems, routines, and habits that keep you consistent even when you don't feel like it. Because wealth isn't built on a single burst of excitement. It's built on years of consistent, disciplined action, investment. And the ones who understand this principle are the ones who achieve financial freedom, while others are still waiting for the next wave of motivation to get started again. When people imagine the lives of wealthy individuals, investment, they often picture complex financial strategies, insider secrets, or advanced knowledge that only a select few have access to. The truth is surprisingly different. Most wealthy people didn't build their fortune through complicated tricks or overly sophisticated systems. Instead, they relied on simple, straightforward habits repeated consistently over time. It's not the complexity of their methods that makes them successful. It's their commitment to simplicity and consistency. Think about saving money. It doesn't require a financial degree to understand the value of setting aside a portion of your income. Yet, very few people do it regularly. Wealthy individuals, however, make it a non-negotiable part of their lives. They don't wait until the end of the month to see what's left. They save first and spend what remains. This simple principle, known as paying yourself first, is one of the oldest financial habits in the world. And it's also one of the most effective. There's nothing complicated about it, but the results are powerful when practiced consistently over years. The same applies to investing. Many people think you need to pick the perfect stock, time the market, or know all the insider details to succeed. Wealthy people know better. They often stick to simple strategies like buying index funds, investing consistently, and holding for the long term. It's not flashy, and it doesn't make for exciting headlines, but it works. The power of compound growth doesn't require complexity. It requires time, patience, and discipline. And those who embrace the simplicity of this process are often the ones who come out ahead. Simplicity also shows up in their daily routines. Wealthy people often design their lives to minimize unnecessary decisions. They understand that every decision takes mental energy, so they streamline as much as possible. They create budgets that are easy to follow, automate bills and savings, and build routines that reduce stress and increase efficiency. Instead of juggling dozens of strategies, they focus on a few key actions done well and repeated consistently. Another important aspect of simplicity is the way wealthy individuals view lifestyle. Investment, many of them avoid the trap of trying to impress others with luxury purchases. Instead, they live below their means, even when they don't have to. This doesn't mean they never enjoy life. It means they don't complicate their financial situation by chasing status symbols. By keeping their lifestyles simple, they free up more resources to invest, save, and grow wealth. Ironically, it's this simplicity that eventually gives them the freedom to enjoy luxuries without stress, because they built a strong financial foundation first. It's easy to overlook simplicity because it doesn't seem exciting. People often search for the next big thing, the shortcut that will make them rich overnight. But the irony is that the wealthiest people are usually the ones who mastered the basics and never abandoned them. Investment. They don't need to chase every new trend because they know that fundamentals, practiced consistently, are more powerful than any quick fix. Simplicity is also sustainable. Complex systems are harder to maintain, and when life gets busy, they often fall apart. But simple habits, like saving a percentage of income, avoiding unnecessary debt, and investing consistently, are easy to sustain over decades. That's why wealthy people keep things straightforward. They don't overcomplicate their finances. They build simple, reliable systems that carry them forward no matter what. At the end of the day, success is rarely about doing extraordinary things once. It's about doing ordinary things consistently. Simplicity ensures that you can keep going even when life throws challenges your way. And in the long run, it's the steady, simple habits that create extraordinary results. Wealthy people know this. They don't chase complexity, they embrace simplicity, and they let time and consistency do the rest.